Hey y'all, it's Sarah Richmond here. Thanks so much for clicking on this video today. As you see in the description box below, this is a DIY video. This is my very first DIY video and I am so excited to be able to share it with you guys. So here you see I'm going through my paint can tin and yeah, I have a little bit of a problem with paint. So I'm just trying to decide what I want to use for this very first craft. I have 3 crafts lined up for you guys. If you're new to my channel, please hit that like and subscribe button so you can check out more videos that I post. I'm going to be doing 3 different crafts for you guys today in this video. So for this first one, I purchased this wooden crate from Walmart. Most of my stuff that I use is going to be from the Dollar Tree, but some items do come from Walmart or Amazon. And here I have a sticker on the side of the box. So I'm going to use this heat gun that I have. I got it from Amazon. If you don't have a heat gun, that's okay. You can use a blow dryer. If you don't have a blow dryer, you can use warm soapy water with a sponge. But I always prefer to take this off before I paint or stain any of my projects. So after I get the sticker off, I'm going to be doing like a faux stain with this burnt umber apple barrel acrylic paint I got from Walmart. I do mix it up with water. I don't want it to be super dark. So obviously the more water that you add, the lighter it's going to be and vice versa. Paintbrush I also got from Walmart. And I do use a paper towel just to get off the excess from the paint. So it goes on kind of light. And really it's just going to be your preference on how dark you want your stain or your finish to be. So here's the finished product. This is just one coat. I was happy with the way it looked after just one coat, but of course it's just your preference on how many coats you end up doing. And then I ended up getting some carbon paper, which I purchased from Amazon at a really good price. And they come with these press tools, which makes things a lot easier. I also picked up some wood slats from Walmart. I want to say I've seen these in Dollar Tree before, but maybe they don't come in as big of a pack. But they weren't too bad at Walmart, maybe $5. And then I printed the image off online. Pretty sure it was just Google. Just something cute. Farmhouse, of course. So I took this Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant for my base color. I painted both sides, even the corners, because I didn't want any of that natural wood to show through. I then took my Waverly white chalk paint and just dry brushed over it. So I used a dry paintbrush and a paper towel and just dabbed and painted until I was happy. Of course, this is just my preference. You can paint it whatever color you prefer or whatever is going to go with your decor. So I already transferred the welcome to our farmhouse onto this wood slat using my carbon paper. And then I'm going to take my glue gun here. I use Gorilla Glue for my glue gun, both of which I got from Walmart as well. And I just glue this to the front of the wood crate. And this is the finished product. I thought it turned out so cute. You can put whatever you want in here. I just threw some Dollar Tree flowers and a couple of glass jars that I also got from Dollar Tree in as well. So for this next project, I'm using some canvases from the Dollar Tree. I have a 5x7, a 6x1, I believe this. No, excuse me. 6x8, excuse me, and an 8x10. So basically small, medium, and large. So for the two smaller ones, I took the canvas off, which is pretty easy, just using scissors, and I think I used some wire cutters as well. I took my burnt umber stain that I already had and stained these. You can sand them off. I didn't do so. I just went ahead and stained right over them. Mine weren't too rough, and I like the way these turned out. I then took this chicken wire I got from Amazon. I love this stuff. I have not used it yet. This is my first time I'm using it for a project. And I wanted to put it behind the canvas. So I used a staple gun to attach it. It was not the easiest thing ever. I guess you could also use glue if you wanted to, if you didn't have a staple gun. And then the excess pieces I just trimmed off with these wire cutters that I have. And then don't mind my husband. He's just sucking up for whatever reason. So then I grabbed these large popsicle sticks. I got these from Walmart. I haven't ever found the large ones in Dollar Tree. They do have the smaller ones. Usually it's like the really colorful ones. But what I wanted to do was try and create a background on one of these canvas frames that would resemble kind of like a wood slat look. So I'm just kind of taking these out and measuring them and cutting them to size for the background of this particular canvas frame. Once I have all my pieces cut, I took my Waverly White chalk paint and I painted both sides. Of course, this is just a preference thing. I didn't want any of that natural wood to shine through. So I did paint front and back, and then the front pieces I did 2 coats on. So then I went back to the frame that I put the chicken wire on, and I grabbed some Dollar Tree ribbon. This is like a burlap type of material. They almost always have this available at Dollar Tree. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to glue it on here. And I grabbed this succulent that I also got from Dollar Tree. I cut the stem part off just with some wire cutters, but you could probably use scissors if you don't have wire cutters. They're pretty flimsy. Comes right off. And then, of course, just use some hot glue to attach it to that ribbon. Once all of my pieces are painted, I went in with my heat gun and dried that paint up a little quicker because I'm impatient, and then hot glued them to the back of this canvas frame. I wish I would have went a little further over with that first piece because I almost didn't have enough room for the last piece, and this almost turned into a disaster. But luckily I made it work and it fit just right, just perfect. So then I took some stencils that I got also from Dollar Tree. These are newer. It's the first time I saw those, so I picked them up. and I wanted to stencil "Be Blessed" on the front of this. I knew it was going to be a little bit difficult, so I do end up cutting the actual stencil and just did letter by letter to make sure it was going to look as clean as possible because it was difficult working around that frame. Also, this paint pen I found at Dollar Tree. I've never gotten a paint pen from Dollar Tree. I've always used the ones from Walmart, but this paint pen actually works really, really well. So if I see any other colors, I'm definitely going to be picking those up. So this is the finished product for this frame. Loved how it turned out. And I was basically just planning on stacking them when I hung them up. So now on to the third one. I did not take the canvas off. I left it on. And I found the cutest little print that I printed off. And of course, I'm going to be using my carbon paper just to transfer that onto the canvas. Now, if you don't have any carbon paper, you can always take whatever print you're using and you can flip it over and color the backside with a pencil. And then place that over top of your medium and just trace over it just the same. It's a lot more difficult process, but it can be done. Or you can use a Cricut as well. I really prefer this method. I just think it looks more original. I got these paint pens, this huge pack of paint pens. They're matte and glossy finishes from Amazon. Absolutely love these paint pens. I'll try and link them below. I think I paid maybe 13 bucks, and it's a huge box. So this is how the canvas turned out. Loved how that looked. I was so worried about it bleeding, but it didn't. It looked great. So I just basically stacked these and then put them all together. I hung them up using command strips, and this is the finished product. I ended up hanging up this piece right next to my front door, and I think it's adorable. So for this next project, I grabbed some picture frames from the Dollar Tree. I ended up getting 6 or 3 sets of 2, basically. And then I also have, I don't show it, but I also have a curtain rod that I picked up. And I want to say I just picked it up from Walmart. But I painted the blue frames. I don't really have a whole lot of blue in my house. So I did paint them white with the chalk paint. And then, of course, dried it with my heat gun because I'm super impatient. I ended up having to do 2 coats. Just to make sure I had good coverage because they were shiny, of course. And then I took 2 of the picture frames and took everything out of them. But I wanted to have like a galvanized metal type of look on some of the frames. And I didn't have any galvanized metal laying around. So I found a 2-pack of these metal cooking sheets at the Dollar Tree. And I basically just cut out the bottom of the cookie sheets, and it gives this really nice faux galvanized metal look. So I'm just fitting that to the frame. And then I also picked up these clips. They're like little chalkboard tag clips that I thought were just adorable. So I cut out the metal to fit my frame, and then go ahead and put it right back into that frame. Flipped it over, and then used, of course, my Gorilla Glue gun to glue those clips on. Now here I went back with Mod Podge on the blue frames that I painted white. This is a matte Mod Podge. You can pick this up from the Dollar Tree. They come in smaller containers. This one is actually from Walmart, just because I find myself using a lot of Mod Podge. So also used a foam brush. Foam brushes you can get from Dollar Tree as well. And I just put a light coat over it, basically as like a sealant, so that that paint wouldn't chip. And just a little pro tip here, whenever you use a foam brush with Mod Podge, I mean, it's virtually impossible to rinse out. So I'll just cut off the tip that I've used, and then I can reuse that foam brush for another project. These are those clips that I picked up. It came in a 4-pack. They're super adorable. They come in a couple of different shapes, and these are the shapes that I chose for this particular project. Very easy to work with, pretty durable. And I basically just glue it right onto that metal piece so I can attach or clip a picture to it. And this is the finished product. I did take some of the burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree and folded it in half and glued it with not only my hot glue gun, but also liquid Gorilla Glue, just for a longer hold, better hold. And then I took a chalk paint pen I got from Dollar Tree as well and drew some little stuff on those chalkboard tags. So for this next project, I took a pizza pan. Guess where I got it from? That's right, the Dollar Tree. Took that sticker off the front and I used alcohol to get the adhesive off. I'm using this Waverly chalk paint in the color Steel for my base color. Now, chalk paint is great because you get a really good coverage on different products. Before you paint something like this pizza pan, you want to make sure you take rubbing alcohol or something to that effect and just go over it to clean off any, dirt, or it just helps the paint stick better, really. I ended up doing, I think I just did 1 coat on this, if I'm not mistaken, because it covered so well. So once I get done with that, of course, I use my heat gun to dry it because I'm so impatient. And then I take my Waverly white chalk paint and I did like a dry brushing over the front of it. Of course, this is a preference. Just depends on what you prefer. You can paint this any color you want, but I am super into the farmhouse decor right now. So I did this dry brushing over the front and I just could not stop. I just kept going and going and adding, but I like the way that it turned out. And if you'll see this sticker I got also from Dollar Tree, a wall decor or wall decal. And then if you can see, if you're not too distracted by my adorable little 2-year-old, it was nap time and she didn't want to go. She was like, nope, if I give mom a hug, it seals the deal and I really have to take a nap. So she was trying to avoid me. But if you'll notice over there on the table, I have these little green leaf string lights that I got from the Dollar Tree. And I've had those string lights, I cannot even tell you how long. And I have finally found a project to use them on. So I'm taking this decal off. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. And so I got it on there pretty well. It was pretty easy to get on there. And I didn't put it right in the center because I'm planning on doing a bow, as you can see. I have this ribbon, this chevron ribbon, also from the Dollar Tree. It comes, I think, in 9 feet. Quite a bit of ribbon for $1. And it's really easy to use. Now, I am horrible at making bows, so I had to stop what I was doing and watch a tutorial. Also got these pipe cleaners. This is like the tried and true method right here with the pipe cleaners. I prefer to use a little bit of hot glue when I'm doing my ribbons, just so I know they're going to stay in place for the long haul. Plus, I have 4 kids, and this is going to be hanging on my front door, and they are really rough. So I wanted to make sure this was going to stay well. Now, in reference to the lights, I didn't want to hot glue those, so I used some black electrical tape that my husband had just to make sure I didn't mess up any of those wiring. And then I'm just kind of making this bow as pretty as I can. And I ended up putting it on top of the lights. And then this battery pack, I kind of had to figure out what to do with it, where to put it on the back. So what I did to glue the bow on top of the lights was I took either 3 or 4 pieces of electrical tape and then glued over top of that with the ribbon so it would stay in place. And it held pretty well. And then if you can see, I have a little succulent in the background, also from Dollar Tree. This one is a little bit different than from our last project. So this one has a long stem on it. It doesn't come with a little black vase or anything like that. That stem just pulled right off. I didn't need to cut it or anything, so it made it really easy. And then I just simply hot glued it to the top of the ribbon right in the middle. I think I used a little bit of my liquid Gorilla Glue too, just to make sure it holds well. So a lot of times when I'm doing my project, I'll use 2 different types of glue. I'll use my hot glue for a quick hold, and then I'll use like a liquid glue like E6000 or liquid Gorilla Glue or even super glue for a long hold. And that's that liquid Gorilla Glue right there. So I ended up taking these tumbling tower game blocks. These are really awesome for different crafts. And I just wanted to create like a little box for the battery pack to sit in because I want to be able to change the batteries. I don't know how long these batteries will last. So I'm just using regular hot glue. And they glue together really easily. So once that's done, I took some of this nautical rope from Dollar Tree as well and wanted to create a hanger for it. So in the past, when I've done projects like this, I noticed that just using a little bit of hot glue is not good enough. So you'll see me really cake this glue on, but I want to make sure it stays. I don't want my wreath to fall or get damaged or anything like that. And I'm running low on my glue stick. As you can see, I've got to literally push it out. But I really lay it on thick, not only on the bottom part of the rope, but then over top of it as well. And I even put some of the liquid Gorilla Glue on it also afterwards. So here is the finished product. I love how this turned out. I did not show you guys on my door because my house number is on the front of it. So it's just leaned up against my couch. Plus, I want it to dry overnight before I actually hang it up. But I thought the lights just really added the cutest touch to this project. And then one last thing I wanted to show you guys was this Crafter's Square pencil and brush organizer. I know I've seen this before, but I've never picked it up until last night. I have a ton of paintbrushes. My larger paintbrushes did not fit, but all of my smaller ones did, and this thing holds a ton of paintbrushes. Also, my 2-year-old in the background, who is just so adorable.